This is going to be my video on my election map for 2020. As you know, in my last video, I claim to have correctly predicted every election since 2000. I want to preface and say that my maps are rarely ever 100% correct. I always seem to get one or two states wrong, but I never have predicted the overall election incorrectly. So please don't be the guy in the comments going, "You're not actually correct because your map isn't 100% correct." I've never claimed that my maps are 100% correct, and I never will, because every election will always have a surprise somehow, some way. There will always be something that, even if the data says it should be, there will always be a curveball. But so in this map, there are a few states that are controversial, and I'll go over them. The first big one might be Minnesota. There's been a gradual decline for Democrat voting since 2008. Something is happening there that is causing them to really lose faith in the Democrats and go to the Republicans. I don't know exactly what that is, but Donald Trump has campaigned there, and so I think something is in the water, right? That I think this will be the election it will finally flip. Next up is going to be New Hampshire. Last election it was very, very close, and there has been a red shift in this state happening for, again, back since 2008, right? It goes a little bit more red every year. You can see in the Senate races that in 2018, there was even a Republican senator that ran and won, which was really surprising. So I fully expect this state to be red now. But because Donald Trump hasn't campaigned there, it's really hard to tell if that's actually going to be the case. But I don't think Trump needs this to win anyway, so he probably just realized, hey, I don't need to waste the time here, and so I'm not. But I definitely think NH is going to go red. Nevada. Nevada, for me, is a personal state because I'm from there, and I lived in Henderson for a while, and I've been around Las Vegas so much of my life. But to me, the shutdowns have really hit Nevada really, really hard. More hard than any other state out there, right? Perhaps there's a few other states that might have been affected more, but the main reason is the casinos. Without the casinos, Nevada can't survive. And so if you're locking down the casinos, basically you've bankrupted the state. And right now they're really hurting economically. They're going through a homelessness crisis. And I think, looking at the two candidates' policies, Trump, although maybe not correct, I'm not saying Trump is right here, Trump wants to end the lockdowns and Biden wants to continue the lockdowns. Now, again, I'm not saying Trump is right on this because, personally, I don't really agree. What I am saying is that I think Americans look at this and go, do I risk my life so I can, have a job and continue my life? Or do I go forever lockdown mode and then just get starved out? So in Nevada, I really think that Trump is just going to win here, just because so many voters are looking at this and going, how can I get the lockdowns to end? Even if people die, I need to go back to work so I can live. It's a harsh reality and I don't like it either, but that's just the fact of the matter. And maybe I'll be wrong, but other metrics also say Nevada is going to go red. So even without my personal take on it, I think that my political model reflects that, even aside from my opinions. Next up is a batch of 3 states, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Arizona. These states are really interesting because while Dems want to say they're really flippable, I just don't see how they're going to magically flip back to Trump from 2016. And I think these states are just going to be solidly red. There really hasn't been a reason as to why these states would flip. So I think they're just going to continue to be red, and data from my model supports that. Next up is both Georgia and Texas. I think the idea of these states going blue is just ridiculous. There really is no reasoning behind it other than wishful thinking. Both of these states are Republican strongholds, and I say that because there is a firm grasp by the RNC in both of these states. When a state is a stronghold state, similar to how California and New York are for the Democrats, you can't really do much. Mostly because the powerful politicians in each state do things to make sure that it stays red or it stays blue. So I am just, whenever I see these predictions, and they happen every year, by the way, this isn't the first year that people have predicted Georgia and Texas to go blue, and it won't be the last. Ohio isn't really too interesting here, but it's now a firmly red state. There is no chance it can go blue. The idea of a state being Trump country, that is Ohio, and it's kind of interesting to see how at one point in time it was a firm battleground state, and now it is a firmly Republican state. I don't know if this trend will continue, but for Ohio right now, it's going 100% red. Pennsylvania. So this will be a shock to some of the Trump supporters out there who really think Trump is going to do well in PA. The data does not support Trump winning this state at all. It shows that it's going to go firmly blue. You can also see that Biden has spent most of his rallying in Pennsylvania, and the only catch is that Trump is doing the same thing right now at the end. So it could flip just because of the powerful Trump rallies that we've seen. But I just think that with Biden holding opposing rallies, I think Pennsylvania is just going to go blue. The last state here is Florida, and this will always be USA's forever swing state. I just don't think it will swing back to Biden, because why would it? The reasons why it swung to Trump is still in play here, and there's other data that supports it going red again this year. I would not be really shocked if there's even more red voters in Florida, because it really seems like a Republican base has been unleashed there, and I'm not sure where, the blue voters are going to get their base of support out in Florida. It just seems like it dwindles every single year. I don't think Florida will ever be firmly red, but I just think that right now there is so much momentum in Florida for the Republicans. So that's my map. You can find it in the description below over at Yet Another Political Map Simulator, which is what I've used to make this map. And you can look at it. This will be a final one, and I expect it to be wrong, but I expect the overall pick of Trump winning to be correct. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.